Today. And excellent. And thank you so much. Beth has already begun the recording process. Thank you, Beth. So I'm Mary Ellen Sullivan, chair of the Brooklyn SWAB. Go over to Rhonda.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Rhonda Kaiser, and I'm vice chair of the Brooklyn SWAB.
I'm Lacey Tauber. I'm the legislative director here for the Brooklyn Borough President's Office.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Elizabeth Casella. I just sit interested party.
Excellent. Yep.
Jason Ginsberg, member of the SWAB and Outreach Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Pablo Garcia, member of Brooklyn SWAB and Academic Research.
Matt Savello, chair of the Manhattan SWAB.
Alrighty, terrific. Well, I hope everyone's gotten the agenda for tonight. I think we're going to have a good meeting, lots of good discussion. People are still filing in, but I think let's get started. Why not? So we've done our introduction. So today, what we are going to be talking about is the Intro 696, the compost siting report. And we've got a presentation on that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the swamp. So let's dive into it.
Oh,
yep.
Did you want me to kick it off? I think I was supposed to.
Yeah. So as we wait for the slides to come up, yep.
Hi, everyone. So if you have been with us for a while, you've heard us talk about this report for quite some time. Mm-hmm. If you are new, I will give a little bit of background. Basically, our office and the Brooklyn and Manhattan SWABs kind of came together to talk about what we could do to support a bill that's being considered by the City Council, Intro 696. Without getting into too much detail, this bill would require the city to site a certain amount of composting facilities in each borough. The bill has had a hearing in the City Council, and that means that it is eligible to move and be passed. And it is our hope that a report like this could inform folks, especially council members and their staff, other advocates and interested parties about the bill, and counter maybe some of the misconceptions or statements that the Department of Sanitation has made that it is not practical or possible to implement, and also make the case for why traditional composting methods are preferable to anaerobic co-digestion, which is where a lot of our curbside organics are going now to be processed with wastewater at the Newtown Creek treatment plant. So it's a bit wonky. And we put out a draft of this a few months ago and presented at a conference at CUNY. We also circulated the draft to the SWAB membership for your comment. After the presentation and all that, we incorporated a bunch of comments. We met with the Department of Environmental Protection and incorporated some of their feedback. And we also got some extensive comments from both Samantha McBride, who's at CUNY, and Laura Orlando, who works for an national organization called Just Zero. Is that right, Just Zero? That's right.
Yeah.
So now, after all of that work, we are here to bring this back and potentially ready to put it out into the world with the permission of both the Brooklyn and Manhattan SWABs. And so you're going to be asked today to vote on that. And I will also just give a huge shout out to Ezra, who was our intern, who worked on this, and to Lee from the SWAB, who did fantastic graphic design and many, many iterations of that. And I think that's it. I'll turn it over to Rhonda.
Or Mary Ellen.
Or Mary Ellen.
Sure.
Or whoever's
sure, let's
going
go
to
to the next page.
Okay.
And basically, this gives a really kind of good timeline of really what Lacey just took us through. So if you all can believe it, this has been going on for a year. So kicked off in the summer of 2024 with our diligent and wonderful intern, Ezra Kenrick, who's working for the Borough President's Office. And that, again, as Lacey was saying, culminated in his presenting the report in the September 2024 meeting, kicking off the SWAB comment period. So all the SWAB members were offered the opportunity to provide comments, and that opened up that comment period. The next month it was presented at the Climate and Compost Conference. There was a lot of commentary at that point in time. I remember there was a big line of everybody coming up to ask comments, get clarifications. I think there were a lot of SWAB members there as well who asked questions during that meeting. I know that Matt and Rhonda took everybody's names down along with Lacey, and as Lacey was telling us, went through a very long follow-up period. So that is all good. So basically in the first half of 2025, there was a lot of synthesizing, doing meeting follow-ups, and now it's culminating in the fact that we are pretty much through the process of synthesizing all that feedback, external feedback, internal feedback, and then it's gone through the borough president iterations that involves legal, communications, and legislative review. And I'm not sure if there's anything else.
Yeah, I guess I would just add one more thing on the timeline, is that the goal for us, it actually is kind of maybe a good thing that it took us until now to get a final draft. Oh, Ezra's here.
Yay.
Because the timeliness, the newsworthiness, I guess, of this is now, because the bill has had a hearing already, and we're starting up the council again, or the council is starting up again for the fall through the end of the year. And this is kind of the window where if this bill is going to pass, it needs to be before the end of this year. If that doesn't happen, it has to go back through the process again, get reintroduced, have another hearing, all that stuff. So now is the time for us to really push.
Okay, excellent. All right, thanks so much. So if you go to the next slide, there obviously is a difference between what was first put forward in September 2024 and now. And so what we wanted to do was really highlight the key differences based on the feedback that the SWAB members provided and also external people provided. So one major difference was we really were getting very clear about anaerobic digestion. We are acknowledging, and I think that it was always known, but it wasn't specifically said, that it's a necessary part of the solution, but not the majority solution. So really just advocating, as Lacey was saying, for composting to have a rigorous and thoughtful evaluation, and let's think about what the ratio should be. We recognize also there are challenges to anaerobic co-digestion. Why are there challenges? There's environmental and logistical challenges of co-digestion. There's waste equity concerns. There's biosolid contamination and biogas flaring. And I think we've had a number of speakers over the past months or years digging into some of those topics as well. Land requirements for composting. DSNY famously said you needed 90 acres, or what is it, 14
Yankee stadiums.
Right. So basically we want to talk about how maybe that's not necessarily true because there's new technologies. Even Freshkills got a major improvement, and I think that they increased their capacity by something like 2,000%?
2,000%.
Yep. We also really wanted to highlight the community composting integration. Yes, large scale would be required for this kind of a vision, but the New York City Compost Network has been amazing, and we wanted to think out of the box, and could there be a way to create large scale and local networks? What and how could we identify sites? We spent a lot of time detailing the methodology and criteria for site identification and vetting. We also said with environmental justice concerns, each site would need to go through its own specific review to make sure that EJ concerns were being appropriately addressed. And then there were updated and expanded citations. So we really wanted to make sure that we were being as rigorous as possible in terms of identifying the sources so people could dig into it.
I would say one other thing
Mhm.
is that we took out a couple example sites that we had originally
Mhm.
proposed because in the interim from when we started this to now, they had other plans
Right.
made for them.
Yep.
So
Excellent.
yes.
Okay. And with that, I think I'd like to turn it over to Rhonda and Matt to go through the body of the report in detail.
Okay.
Let's see where we have.
Mhm.
We haven't looked at this in a long time.
Yeah.
You guys are pros.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we all know, there are three primary destinations for our food scraps or organic material produced by residents in the city of New York, right? So there is landfill and incineration, which are absolutely the worst destinations. The second is anaerobic co-digestion, and the third, of course, is composting. Yeah, so
we don't if we need to go through each
This
one.
is kind of for
Right.
a more general audience.
general audience, we
Yeah.
know the drawbacks of landfill and incineration, right?
Particularly the emissions component.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the yeah, exactly. Okay, so now we're at anaerobic co-digestion, which has been and is currently the primary destination for most of the residential organics that are not leaf and yard waste related in the city of New York at the moment. And while we're not saying that there should be no anaerobic co-digestion, what we would like to do is reevaluate the impact of both composting and anaerobic co-digestion relative to one another and try to find a balance that is better for the city economically, socially, and environmentally. So, we talk about some of the realities of anaerobic co-digestion in this paper, and I think we did some very rigorous analysis of the process, and we talked about both its benefits, its necessity, but also some of the obvious or not so obvious drawbacks, which are illustrated in the paper. I'm sorry.
And this paper's not anything new in terms of discussion for the SWAB. Again, as Mary Ellen pointed out, we've had many speakers over the last really more than year, but over the year that we've been evolving this paper, and we've come up with many pieces of writing, testimony, and letters that all SWABs have voted on and come to. So it really sort of comes to the same. There's not really a lot of new information.
Well, the new information around anaerobic co-digestion incorporates the comments that were very substantial in our meetings with the Department of Environmental Protection. So we tried to be as cognizant of their points as possible and their data. And I think we did a fair job in expressing that in that paper.
And because we certainly know that we do want our wastewater cleaned. So no,
we have to,
dissing.
Of course.
Without this,
These processes
yeah.
are going to continue
Yeah.
with or without compost or food scraps being added into
Yeah.
the
Right.
system.
Or no matter how many food scraps are added. And that's really what we're talking
Right.
about.
I mean,
how
the
many
point
you're
is,
gonna
if we didn't have these kinds of processes, we wouldn't be here right now because it would be an existential threat without
add. Right.
wastewater
Right.
treatment.
That would be bad.
We're surrounded by water in the city of New York.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk, Ron? Do you want to give some background on composting at the local scale?
Well, I mean, we all know the New York City Compost Project, and which is now the New York City Community Compost Network, and which has been funded by City Council after being defunded by the city, by the mayor's budget or Department of Sanitation, whoever it is. But now there have been a lot of, there's been a revitalization or a continuation of the community composting that's been going on for how many years? 20, 30 years?
30 years.
30 years. So it's a vital and stalwart program. I just full disclosure, I work with Cafeteria Culture. We are one of the organizations that was funded to do compost education in schools. And this picture on the left is our adorable students at a site with this is a Domingo Morales site, I think. It could be a community garden, but where they're actually learning about compost from a hands-on way and taking some of their own food scraps from the cafeteria.
I think one of the takeaways from our 30-year experience with community-based composting is that it is a legitimate way of handling our food scraps. And we have data and a 30-year experience with this system to make it, or to give it a legitimate position as part of the overall solution for our food scraps in the city of New York. And it needs to be taken seriously as a component of a rational waste management system in the city of New York, especially when it comes, of course, to organics and also the need for compost.
And handling organics as compost in the city at scale doesn't necessarily mean only big giant facilities. It can mean a lot of different sizes, and that's part of what we're talking about. Like,
right.
The middle image, I think, is from Staten Island.
That's Staten Island's.
And so then there are smaller scale. That looks like Marissa.
I think so.
On the right. But then, so there's
Well,
all
that could
kinds
be bigger
of
use. I don't know. No, it's
ways.
DSNY.
So
yeah.
So then here are some of the organizations who are part of, the network that we're talking about. And there's even more probably that we're missing.
We're missing that.
So then it goes into the paper's much longer than this. But do you want to talk about
I can talk about this part. So we engaged our land use team on this part, and Ezra did some fantastic work pulling together the legal framework for where you can cite composting in New York City based on both zoning and state regulations, and then also other criteria that you would want to consider, flood risk, all different other kinds of things. Yeah. It's a very long list. And then so we did some mapping, as you can see here, the suitability analysis based on that methodology. And then based on that, we pulled out just some example sites in every borough except for Staten Island because they already have the giant facility. This actually needs to be updated. I think we replaced the parking lot in the middle in the Bronx because that one has a EDC plan that's going forward. But Floyd Bennett Field and the Hudson River Park one are still on there. These are just examples of sites in various boroughs that could accommodate composting. And honestly, the Bain Center theoretically could, among other things. TBD, up to EDC.
And there's nothing wrong with using Yankee Stadium in the Bronx during the off season as a composting facility.
All right, excellent. So I think at that, we'd like to open it up to Q&A to the board members. And I think probably raising hands and just introducing yourself is the best way. I don't know if anybody here has any comments that they'd like to make. Nope, no comments.
Bueller?
In the peanut gallery.
Fry.
Okay. Has everyone started reading it at least? And admired Lee's beautiful typesetting? No one started reading it? Did you read it before? Did everyone read it before?
We did get a lot of comments from some of these
We
folks
got some comments,
before.
so it does seem that it was read before. Unless you're just commenting without reading it.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Do we have quorum?
Do you have quorum?
Yeah, Beth, we should see if we have quorum.
Are there some comments in the chat?
Any other possible sites being identified aside from the 3 pictured?
Yes, there are more in the report.
Yeah, there are more in the report. Have a look; it's beautiful. Yeah. So, yeah, there are highlighted sites. There's a couple within Brooklyn. I think there's probably more than 2 within
I think there's
Brooklyn.
2 in each borough.
There's
at
2 in the
least.
Bronx. There are 3 in Manhattan, 2 in Queens, and then as we mentioned before, Staten Island was not included because the Fresh Kill sites really provides the 180,000 marker that basically the Intro 696 is going for.
We have
Mary
one.
Ellen, it's Kendall. I'll break the ice here. I've got a couple pages of questions and comments so far from my initial reading of the report. Thank you for all the work that went into it. So let's see, where should I start? The report looks only at residential food waste and yard waste, right? Not commercial or institutional or industrial.
It doesn't really
It just basically deals with the residential stream of organics right now.
Okay, because a lot of what goes to Newtown Creek is also commercial. A good, very high percentage of what goes to the Staten Island facility is commercial as well, right?
That's correct. Yes. That's not. I mean, that's not news. I mean, yes, there quite a bit goes to.
For those who don't follow it as closely as we do, Matt. So, but those are important sort of data points to understand. Did the report look at? I couldn't find a clear discussion of the differences between food waste and yard waste in terms of digestibility or compostability. Did you sort of think about the distinction between those two and which is best to go where?
Well, there's a discussion, Kendall, in that paper that breaks out the carbon inputs that are available to New York City's available within New York City's waste stream or organic stream. It's in the report that it's broken out in one of the footnotes for you. You just take a look.
Well, I guess to be specific, the point is that yard waste isn't commonly thought of as digestible in anaerobic digestion, unless you have a certain type of dry digester as opposed to the wet ones that the city has, right? So so yard waste can really only go to a compost facility, which is the case with Staten Island now, and the distinction between the two, I think, is somewhat important. I'm curious. Let me go on to did the a working group on this talk to any compost industry operators or experts about the challenges of siting urban compost facilities?
Ezra, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can jump in. Can you all hear me?
Ezra Kenner, who wrote the
Yeah.
original draft. We just want to thank
Can you all hear me? Hold on. Wait, sorry. Are you all able to hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, we spoke with a handful of people. We spoke with Domingo Morales pretty extensively. We also spoke with the Lower East Side Ecology Center, and then Claire Mifflin doesn't run any compost sites herself, but we spoke with her as well about sort of the challenges with urban composting and siting facilities. Those were the three main sort of groups that we engage with.
But you didn't talk to Denali or Sustainable Generation or Waste Management or companies like that?
We did not speak with Waste Management. I don't know if anyone spoke with Denali after my time there. I don't know if anyone.
But Ezra, you talked to Denali, is that right?
I don't recall whether I did or not. Who would have been our contact there?
I can't remember if you did or not.
Waste Management did reach out to us during the writing of this. We talked to them a little bit, but it wasn't in depth.
Is there a specific reason that you ask?
Well, I mean, there's certainly been a fair amount of efforts to create urban compost facilities, many of which have not done well and have failed, closed, whatever else. They're also enormously expensive because of the cost of land and other issues associated with trying to do composting or compost facilities in dense urban areas. San Diego would be a good example of that. I may have shared that with you, Ezra, when we talked a year or so ago. Was in the planning stages for a at scale commercial scale compost facility. Calgary, I think I shared with you some information about their experience as well. But overall, the track record of urban compost facilities is not a very positive one. They're very difficult to site, operate, and maintain because of all the pressures associated with that.
So let me step in and just add some people into the chat. If anybody else has questions, We don't have to finish one person's questions before we go on to another, especially if they admittedly have a lot. Rob says there are many smaller existing community gardens that already do on-site hyperlocal composting, and many more could add that function. I'm not seeing that reflected in the map.
That's correct. We stayed at a higher level than that, but we had plans to do a second phase of this report to include what the local hyperlocal capacity is, so that we just didn't have the bandwidth to do that at that point.
The methodology was really looking at where we could put some of these potentially larger scale facilities that we would really need to get to the numbers that are in the bill.
And Rob does point out these are hyperlocal. People walk to them. There is no trucking inputs or outputs.
That's correct.
And that is also what we wanted to highlight in something that's possible, that's not necessarily done in other cities. You can't necessarily find this in other cities. It's something sort of more cutting edge.
Right.
So then Betty says, what would be the consequences if this was not approved, not pushed forward by the council? We do mix yard waste with organics in our brown bins.
I mean, I think we know that, and actually we'll talk about this when we talk about the solid waste management plan, because sanitation has mentioned scaling up of anaerobic co-digestion. We know that the city would like to do that. But if the bill doesn't pass this term, it's not necessarily dead. It can be reintroduced in next term starting in January. So, yeah.
Thank you for that.
I mean, the question is, we're not going to be handling the entire 1 million tons of organics from the city of New York through local composting. What we're trying to do is balance the two out. How that looks ultimately is, will take some effort.
And as people who've read the paper or understand, we're not excuse the pun, but poo-pooing any one method. We're just asking for the paper is illustrating the possibilities of the bill.
Right. I mean, even if let's say it passes tomorrow, Intro 696, as we all know, we've had legislation around the organics program, mandatory curbside. That was implementation is 90% of the effort. And we saw that with Sandy Nurse's zero waste bills. Those bills passed, but we're not really taking zero waste as seriously as we should at this point. So the issue is we want to open the door for the possibility of actually trying to equitably enjoy the benefits of local composting and overcoming some of the obstacles that were some of the other failure points within the rest of the country, which, very often systems fail, and we learn from those lessons and we move forward, and perhaps New York City will have in a very difficult environment, a better experience.
And in light, just going back to the comments in the chat, in light of your zero waste comment that we're not taking it as seriously as possible, Ross Guberman asks, where do food waste reduction efforts fall into this, so that there can be a decrease in the need for food waste treatment facilities?
Well, that's a really good point, but that's not, the food waste is a different. We're dealing with solid waste management and how we manage our solid waste stream. We do participate in efforts around food waste reduction, but that should not be used as a way of avoiding taking care of the 1 million tons of material that are currently headed. Most of it that isn't diverted is headed to landfill.
And it's not really in the scope of this.
Right, but I would say I think that that is something that sanitation brought up in their presentation to us about the solid waste management plan. So I think that that's a point of advocacy for that effort for sure.
Right, for the swamp.
Yeah. Did we speak to Hudson River Park or Riverside? So I will say we went to great lengths to say in the report that the sites that we chose to highlight are just examples.
Right.
They are just examples.
Yeah.
And that we're not actually necessarily suggesting them, and because of that we didn't talk to the ownership of any of the sites, but we just wanted to show like a variety of the types of sites that would be eligible based on Ezra's suitability analysis.
Yeah, I think there's also another. I can see this whole conversation kind of veering off in the wrong direction, and maybe we're missing some of the other benefits of local composting for the city of New York, and that would be green jobs. This is not a fictional idea. Keeping a lot of the revenue that is being exported right now, along with the material outside of the city, inside the city. The need for using compost within the city. I know people will say we can't use all the compost that we've created. I would love to delve into that deeper, but I absolutely can guarantee you that most of it can be used within the city and should be used within the city. And then there's the environmental considerations, which are not insignificant, especially when you look at where you're loading the methane and the carbon. You're front loading it, and with compost, you're sequestering a lot of that. So these are areas that we seem not to be looking at in this conversation that we really do need to be cognizant of. This is one of the primary reasons why we're doing this.
And I also want to say that we've all ruminated over these concepts that Matt just mentioned, because we've written and we've all voted on testimony that to the exact same effect. So we've done this several times. And we're all well acquainted with these concepts.
So do we want to return
Did the working group develop sort of a prototype facility, something sort of visual for, you were talking about something that's enclosed or partially enclosed or open air?
Well, that's a really good question, Kendall. I mean, I think you need to look no further than Staten Island for a sea change, a quantum leap in productivity on compost, going from open windrows to covered systems and aerated covered systems. And if you look at the footprint on Staten Island, there's more room for that kind of technology. And certainly that would be the model for most of the sites that have been identified.
Yeah, we didn't get it as in detail to do like a rendering, but it does outline some of the different options, and note that would be a kind of a market decision for
I would imagine as sites are identified, you can customize the processing method to the site.
I have a quick question. I'm much newer to understanding the different methodologies here. So first of all, Ezra, nice work on the report. Also, the graphics are phenomenal. Very easy to read, very well structured. My question is just like historically, so the intro 696 seems to be obviously promoting one method over the other, not necessarily increasing capacity overall, but doing so under the premise of composting over co-digestion. So my question is, historically, why has the city gone towards the co-digestion route? Like, what are their arguments against composting?
Well, I can tell. The history of the co-digestion starts with the with the Bloomberg administration, and it was supposed to be, or it was intended to be, the solution for all of our organics in the city of New York. And the development process took a lot longer than it was anticipated. I'm not going to get into a discussion as to whether or not Newtown Creek is a screaming success. It certainly is expensive. That is not a debatable issue. But during that period of time, that system cost literally billions of dollars in terms of development costs and implementation, and people will tell you that there was no tax revenue harmed during this experience, but there are higher rates in New Jersey and in New York City that will exist in perpetuity in terms of utility bills. The issue is that while that was all going on, we had a 30-year experience, fairly successful, with a at-scale model with the community compost program that the DSNY administered, which is fairly painless and very productive. And also we have the example of Staten Island, which cost a fraction of the cost of, are we beneficially using the biogas that comes out of Newtown Creek? I don't know. You'd have to look at the report and read the data. This is the data that's in open data. So the decision is this entirely the way we want to go, or is it better to enjoy the local benefits of the financial, fiscal, and environmental benefits of local composting? And yeah, there are challenges. Kendall has pointed those out. We know that San Diego has not had a great, or Toronto, or anywhere in Canada. I don't know exactly where he's referring to. But the point is, yeah, you're gonna find challenges, but we're doing it on Staten Island. That is an example of a successful a program right under our noses. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's very hard to argue with that.
I think if you ask them now, they would mostly just say space. I mean, that's sort of what they said in the hearing, sanitation, I mean. And, you know, agree that this is from a sheer efficiency perspective, right? You know, it doesn't use as much space. However, we didn't really hit that much on the environmental justice piece of this,
Right.
but I just wanted to bring up something that is important to us in my office, which is, you know, just speaking to some of the historical stuff. When the borough president was in the council, we were able to pass the waste equity legislation, which was really aimed at reducing the truck traffic on the streets in the 3 communities that were the most burdened by waste transfer stations, that being North Brooklyn, the South Bronx, and Southeast Queens. And so this program, even in its, you know, we all know that our diversion rate for organics kind of sucks right now. And so even what they're taking to Newtown Creek now is putting a lot more trucks on the street per day in the neighborhood that we specifically fought for that to not happen. And as they continue to scale up, is going to do more. Because right now, this is the only facility in the city, I think, that can take this. If I'm not, I mean, there might be another one. But my point is that's just something that to consider and an angle where our interest in this comes from, in addition to just all the other environmental stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think one other and we've made tremendous sacrifices to develop this system, and it was originally sold as a way of, you know, creating power for thousands of homes and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels by making fossil fuels. That doesn't really make sense, but that's the story. So you really need to dig deep into the project from its inception to today and compare it to what we've been doing with compost, and then look at the potential carbon savings one versus the other and the benefits to local communities of making compost versus co-digestion.
And do you want to add something?
The one thing that I wanted to say, you made a point in the beginning saying that this report prioritizes composting over AD, which I don't think that's the case. Right now, the policy is prioritize AD over anything else. And I think this says, let's give composting a fighting chance. Let's take off the blinders about what's possible and what's not possible. Let's really explore how this could effectively be implemented. And I think also, just as a point, the waste equity laws exempt recyclables, including organics, from restrictions on EJ neighborhoods. So that's why so much more traffic can go into these neighborhoods. And so if this occurs, this is going to cement in perpetuity really extensive truck traffic, pollution, adverse health impacts in these neighborhoods that we're trying to help.
Historically, they were concerned that they were going to close the nuclear facilities, and they didn't know how they were going to make up the energy. One of the proposed solutions was waste to energy, which the technology was there. This is before solar energy or wind power was available. It was just a dream. So that was the only alternative. And if they were going to put it in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which they wanted to find a use for the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Yeah.
And that's what they were going to put.
No, that's helpful.
Yeah.
I'm just curious on the context, really, of like
Yeah.
why push government to not just have a lot of options and let them decide what's most efficient and give them the methodology to do so, versus, you know, promoting a certain method over the other.
Well, we also
you
have.
mentioned
But
makes sense,
that's what we did with anaerobic. I mean, there are a lot of people who say that doesn't make sense. On paper, even on paper, anaerobic co-digestion has its limitations, right? It's great to allow government to make decisions, but ultimately, government works best if people who are affected by those decisions have a real substantive voice in that process, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, Esther,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was also just gonna jump in and say I think we're sort of in a position where we've really heavily invested in one technology in the anaerobic co-digestion, and I think that in some ways by not sort of promoting the alternative of composting aerobically, we're sort of leaving the government in this position of being, heavily invested and contracted in this one camp. And I think the hope with Interest 696 is to sort of balance it out more to then, allow them to make those decisions by helping facilitate, the siting of compost facilities to then allow them to send material there where they, to find that valuable.
And we're also learning more as we go.
Yeah.
We've learned that the sludge that comes out of it, that we've tried to use for agricultural application, which any previous assessments have said, oh, anaerobic co-digestion is great because we can use that for agricultural application. It has PFAS in it everywhere. And there are more states who are banning the agricultural application of that, Maine being one of them. And it feels like they're on the forefront because they're one of the first places to ban it. But there are farms that are ruined in Maine because of PFAS, because of the way that, what they've used. And we know that, and someone else can speak more specifically about this, but the biogas that's used is corrosive. It's, it doesn't.
I think folks really need to really dig into the report and these questions. A lot of these questions are answered.
I want to do a time check. Should
Okay,
we
7:15.
spend maybe 5 more minutes on this?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we want to go back to Kendall for.
Yeah, Kendall, do you have any follow-up questions?
Yeah, curious. Rhonda, to your last comment about PFAS, how did DEP respond to that discussion?
They referred us to DMM7. DMM7, and we looked at that.
Which is the state reg for those who are not familiar with it.
That's right. It's a state reg which sets levels. It sets 3 levels for biosolids that come out of the co-digestion process, and breakpoints and remediative actions if those breakpoints are exceeded. I will say that the DEP has not fully. They've implemented it. What their remediation action history is, I don't know. We're trying to find out. It is one of the better regulatory frameworks within the country. It's better actually than Michigan's, which everyone continuously points to. I would say though that the levels of PFAS that are permissible in biosolids, which often come in contact with groundwater somehow, and are a terrestrial environment, are way higher than the EPA drinking water standards. So I'm not criticizing DMM7. It was done because the EPA was dragging their feet. It's a respectable effort. Is it being followed up on? I don't know. And we put a lot of stuff in that, a lot of information about DMM7 and its applicability to our world in that paper. So it's in the footnotes and it's in the paper. It's not a cure-all, though. It really certainly is not. The jury is still out on what levels of PFAS should be established for biosolids in our terrestrial environment.
No, it's still a huge area of concern, enormous amount of research and technology development. A couple weeks ago, I happened totally by chance to meet the attorney who represented 3M in the initial PFAS litigation in the state of Minnesota. So going back about 10 or 15 years ago. And I wouldn't conversation.
No, I know.
Interesting.
But at least right now, and this is really important, at least we have started a regulatory framework in New York State, which I think we should be very proud of to some degree. But in the meantime, let's try to mitigate the amount of biosolids that we're creating. Remember, we're always going to have biosolids. Do we need to add our food scraps to make that worse? Right, until we solve these problems.
Right, so it's how much.
Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell who asked the question about the history, but I would just add that the city has 14 water resource recovery plants with a total of 75 digesters.
Yeah.
that have been, built and operated over the last 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
Some of them are in really good shape, and lots of them are not. Their DEP is going through an upgrade and improvement process for the ones that aren't, but it's part of the city's built infrastructure already. So, can I just ask about? I may have not have gotten to this, but did you put any cost estimates for implementation of the plan in the report?
I don't know if we have. I think we have some financial numbers in there. What I will tell you is that of the $500 million that we devote to waste export, and I've talked to Samantha McBride about this and folks at the DSNY. Out of $500 million of waste export fees, we know that at least $200 million of that. This is just the export piece, not the collection, not the trucks. Just the export, the rail out of the city, it's $200 million. So we have $200 million to work with, Kendall. The point is, within that criteria, I would assure everyone on this call that it's possible to not exceed $200 million on a local composting program.
One more question about this. One more question about operations.
I'm sorry.
Did you look at depackaging as a component of the system?
Bagging?
Depackaging.
Debagging?
Depackaging.
Depackaging.
Yeah, we talked about pre-screening as well as something that needs to be considered when siting facilities and managing compost at a local level.
Just been in a bunch of national conversations about that issue. It's becoming more prominent now as food waste diversion efforts pick up, but a lot of that, both residential and commercial, is still in some form of packaging and has to be separated. And so the question of where that happens, how that material is kept separate from truly, unpackaged food waste and the like is becoming an interesting topic of consideration.
Right. Okay. Everybody, that's been a great conversation. Just as one point of note, there's a time machine.
I got a question for Kendall. Would that be a good place to get funding from the New York City Catalyst Fund? They just got $40 million for the New York CEDC. Is money available for organics? Do you think, Kendall?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Pavel, but it's, there's, as Matt pointed out, there's plenty of money out there if this becomes a policy priority for the city.
Okay, great. All right, at this point, I'd like to gavel close the Q&A. It's 7:21. We're a bit behind schedule. But at this moment, I'd like to see if someone wants to make a motion to move this to a vote within the SWAB.
Okay. I make a motion.
I'd make a motion. We move it to a vote.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we've got that. Mark, the first, Pablo second. So we are
Mary Ellen, I want to propose that the motion be tabled, and my reasons for that are outlined in the what I posted in the chat.
Understood. We've done this report. We've done it in the executive committee with a joint activity with Manhattan SWAB and the Borough President's Office. We've done it for a year. At this moment, we've gotten a motion to move it to a vote to see if we're going to vote on it. If that vote,
Mary Ellen, a motion to table takes precedence over the motion that's on the floor.
Okay.
We can vote.
Does anybody second his motion to table?
You have to have a second for the motion.
Yeah, do you have a second on the motion to table?
Going once.
Okay.
I'll second it. See if anybody votes.
Okay.
I'll
Pablo
second it.
seconds it. All right. So let's take a vote if we want to table this. You can raise hands if you're online, and then you can raise hands here if it is your belief that we should table this report.
I also want to be clear about what you were proposing, Mary Ellen, is for voting on this. In your note before the meeting, you talked about it being an online vote. Are you proposing something different now?
Why are we not doing the vote now?
We wanted to do the vote online because it's easier for us to track, and that's the way we've been voting on all things since 2020.
Okay.
So that's the way we vote on things historically within the Brooklyn SWAB. It's been going on since 2020. It started with Sherry and Oliver. So at this point now, let's take a vote on whether or not we want to table this report. You can raise your hands within the Zoom, and anyone who wants to table this report for further discussion, investigation, we can do so. Just curious, Lacey, if we table it, what happens to the report?
It is tabled.
It gets tabled,
That's what we're-
but
No.
okay,
We're gonna
Alright.
follow your lead
Okay.
here.
very good. Okay, so if we vote to table it, then it will get tabled. So let's take a
But
vote.
to be clear, my motion wasn't to table it indefinitely. It was to impanel a working group to give it further review and to bring it back to the board for a full vote.
Okay.
Well, didn't your legislative committee do that?
Voted on committee.
Okay. Beth, if you could take tally of the votes, that would be
That's
great.
the process that was put.
So these are the yes votes. Anybody here? Okay. All right. So
Is
Beth,
there anyone there who voted yes for Borough Hall?
Not here within Borough Hall.
Okay, so we have 2.
So we have
Not even
two.
Paula?
Well, I abstain. I can vote, ask for the vote, right? But not, I can vote abstain.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely right.
So there are 2 yes votes. Are there any no votes for tabling this? So
One.
Can I ask a clarification? How long are we going to have to vote on it?
we can decide if you want to make a proposal on how many. Anybody here within?
How many do you have there in
Oh,
person?
Oliver, you can't vote. Sorry, you have to be a member.
That's all right, does
Alright.
Vassal voted twice.
So Lucille voted twice.
Lucille, do you want to take
Lucille,
your
Are you
handout?
voting for or
So are we
against?
voting yes or?
There we go. Okay. All right. The tally on the
How many did you have in person there?
2. Anybody else? No. Okay, 2.
Okay. So I think I counted 11 then.
And those abstaining? 2 abstains here in Borough Hall.
And I think that's it. I don't see any
Okay.
abstains online.
So the motion did not pass. So at this point in time, I'd like to move to vote on whether or not we want to move forward with online voting on the report. Do we have a person who would like to make that motion?
I move that we vote to pass.
Rhonda moves to vote. Do we have a second?
Sorry, this is a vote to authorize the procedure
vote.
in which we vote or the vote itself?
To vote.
To authorize the vote on the report itself.
Yeah.
Okay, not the online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Both.
We're not
And
voting.
sorry, can you repeat your answer to Uli's question about the length of
Okay,
time
I'll-
for voting?
I was thinking that we would have a week.
I would,
Okay.
yeah, we need to get this done.
A week.
Okay, so we can go until Friday. We're being asked to do it a little bit more quickly, so we would have until Friday to vote on this report.
Friday of
Right.
this week?
Yes, Friday of this week. Do we have a second?
Can you give us another?
Is
Second.
Betty will, okay. So now at this point, I'd like to take a vote.
I will answer this
Yeah.
because there is potential movement of this bill. We want to get this report. If we're going to put out the report,
Right,
if you all vote now to vote,
Yeah.
and the vote is a yes, we want to get it out quickly so that we can. Because if we wait too long, it might be too late.
okay,
Okay, so a week.
all right. So at that point, just to vote yes to authorize online voting on the Intro 696 report. For those that want to, yes, proceed with the voting, please raise your hand online.
How many do you have there in the room?
4.
Oh, great. I counted 12.
Total. Okay. And so for quorum, we need 13?
No, we just need the majority of the quorum.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's a far more majority of the quorum.
Okay. All right.
Yep, you have to ask for abstentions
So,
and no.
does
to
someone
do
vote
that.
abstentions.
Yeah, does someone vote no? No to proceed with votes? So Kendall is a no vote. I think Debbie voted yes, so I think that she to vote. So that's, any other no votes to not move forward with online voting on the Intro 696 report? Just the one? Okay. Anybody voting abstain, that they're abstaining from voting on this? Uli, okay. All right. Okay, so we recorded the vote. We will be sending it out tonight or early tomorrow, and we can move forward.
Just give people until Monday.
Okay, so Lacey is now saying it's fine to give everyone until Monday, so that gives everyone a week. So hopefully that
I will
will give
also say
people-
we distributed the report 2 weeks ago for this reason.
Exactly. Yep. We gave everyone a good bit of time to go through the report. So now people get another week to go through the report and consider how they want to vote on this one.
We can have a reading party this weekend.
Okay. Excellent.
Reading is fundamental, folks.
All right.
Griff.
Well, thank you very much. This has been a lively debate, and I think it's the reason why we're here and we do what we do. So thank you very much. And the next topic up for discussion is talking about the upcoming 2026 SWAB. It's 7:30 now, so I really want to make sure that we have enough time for everything. So we might spend a little less time on this one than necessary. We've asked Align and Transform Don't Trash to come in next month and to go through the 2006 SWAB and give us their analysis. We're still waiting to hear on the availability. So I just want everyone to know that we're not skimping on the SWAB. We will definitely be digging into it, and we're taking this very seriously. So with that, let's just go to the next page. And what Beth has done, and I appreciate it very much, Beth, she shared the report that we received from DSNY. We had a presentation from Jen McDonald and Kate Kitchener. They were very adamant about us not sharing it until they've had time to present it to everyone. A couple of days ago, they presented it to the borough president's office here in Brooklyn. So I feel that now that the borough president has had the overview, we are free to be producing it or sending it to everybody else. So overall, what is the SWAB 2026? It's a long-range plan for New York City to talk about how they're going to manage their solid waste. The previous one was 20 years. This one is going to be a 10-year plan. They're going to go over it in 8 key areas. We're going to talk about those 8 key areas overall. From their own presentation, they talked about their timeline of high-level accomplishments from the 2006 SWAB. So you can see that down at the bottom. They're really just talking about the key things. They even mentioned launching citywide organics as part of their accomplishments, even though I don't believe that was identified specifically within the SWAB. So overall, this just gives you a quick overview of what the SWAB is for those that are new to this. The next page just highlights for you what those 8 key proposals are. So basically, there's going to be waste prevention and reuse. There's organics, diversion, recovery, residential recycling, residential municipal solid waste, commercial waste, which really is going to be focusing on implementation of commercial waste zones, Bronx is starting up now, or at least 2 neighborhoods. Construction, demo waste, special waste, education and outreach. And you have on the right the waste characterization study from 2023, just talking about this. And so it really is just a very high level. It's a good preview for the 8 key categories that DSNY is going to be presenting. From follow-up discussions with DSNY, they've told us that they're targeting October 1 is the date at which they will release the SWAB. It initially was going to be the latter half of September. They've run into some delays with interagency review, and so that's why it could be October 1, it could be a little bit later. So they're definitely targeting that date, but they're not able to say with any precision what the exact date is going to be. I'm sure it is very complicated. Okay, next page. So why are we talking about the swamp, and what is our role, and why are we making such a big deal out of it? So for those of you that are new and not steeped in 1980s law, it was Local Law 19 that created the SWABs and specifically stated that we have a role in evaluating the swamps and soliciting community feedback and providing that information to DSNY. And so that is specifically why we are spending so much time on it and why we are planning as a SWAB to be holding a public hearing on this and inviting our community partners to come and share their feedback. Again, this is going to be scheduled once the SWAB has been released, and the lack of specificity about a date makes that a little bit difficult. So I think at some point in October, perhaps early November, we will be trying to hold a hearing. The Brooklyn Borough President has kindly offered us their space, so we will be most likely holding some kind of a public hearing here. I feel like Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, we've also heard that they're doing some outreach. I am getting I'm trying to check this and the industrial plan in my head. So tell me if I'm confusing things, but they did say they were planning to have at least one online forum for this sanitation, but then also the city council will need to have a hearing because ultimately, as you see here on the timeline, they need to approve it.
Right. So here is the timeline that DSNY shared with us. Again, you can see that they're running a little bit behind schedule because they wanted the public comment period to start sometime in September. That's not necessarily happening. So I've added the star at the beginning of, or the diamond, I guess, at the beginning of October, indicating when the 45-day comment period would begin. So again, once the swamp is released, we will have, based on the law governing the swamp, 45 days to provide public commentary. And so again, we're targeting a public hearing at some point within those 45 days. Again, what happens after that, we submit it to DSNY. We can also submit it to the New York City Council. Once the council approves it, they submit the draft to DEC. DEC reviews it. If they find anything that they need revised, they can send it back to DSNY for revision. We can then go through another period of public comment. Probably won't happen, but it is a possibility. And that will finally go through the process, and DEC at the state level can offer approval. So that's just a very quick high level. So again, how can SWAB members get involved? In addition to the report, the Intro 696 voting document, we're also going to be sending people a form asking for feedback on what community organizations we should be inviting to our eventual public hearing. You can also volunteer to assist with the hearing or the running of the hearing. And if you have any ideas on this specific area, we would love to hear them. Again, please email swab.brooklyn@gmail.com. And we will also be coordinating with the legislative committee and the outreach committee to how to best operate this swamp public hearing. So more to come on that, and it should be pretty interesting. And at this point, would like to open it up if anybody has any questions or comments.
Lacey, it's Kendall. As a political matter, do you think it's realistic to have this council endorse the plan before it goes out of business at the end of the year, or is it likely to carry over into a new administration and new council?
I believe that is sanitation's intention. If they're staying on the timeline that they need to be in, then it does need to happen this year. I
didn't ask about their intention. I asked about your political assessment of whether that was.
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, they would just need to have a hearing before the end of the year. Although Mary Ellen reached out to a Braves office to try to find out if and when they were planning it, because it doesn't make sense to have the SWAB hearing and the council hearing too close together. Right. Or so we are awaiting their response on that.
I think the delay is definitely causing some.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, I will say I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know that, we're at the end of the term and all of the committees are trying to get as much through as possible. And I'm sure that it's like no one's happy that they have to take a hearing for this, but maybe the speaker, if I was the speaker, I would authorize them to have more than one a month, just make sure they get this done in time,
Legally, are they not required to do it within a certain period of time?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay. Okay. I would imagine if we have a 45-day comment period, I would imagine other people have certain comment periods as well.
Well, my memory of the last two swamps that I've been through, 92 and 2006, they each took maybe a year and a half, 2 years to be debated and adopted. And if I was a new mayor coming in, I'd have to think carefully about, did I want to be handed a swamp that wasn't mine, or would I want to put my own sort of stamp on it once I took office? So all those considerations may come into play.
Okay. Should be interesting days ahead. Any other Q&As or comments, clarifications? Will community boards be informed? Thank you so much. That's a great question. That is our plan. I know the outreach committee has been thinking through dates about when to meet with them. I know we've been talking with Lacey about getting together with the borough board. There's also the borough service cabinet. So we're really thinking through what's the best communication approach and how do we reach out to people and again, let them know that this is happening and really outline for them their ways to provide feedback.
Well, as the new chair of the Environment Committee of Community Board 9 in Crown Heights, I tell you that unless the plan speaks to the frequency of street cleaning and related hyperlocal issues, they won't be interested.
Yeah, we hope to make a pitch that sort of helps people realize that these silos are not really silos, that they are all sort of connected. But if you have any suggestions, we'll take them for how to appeal to.
I know containerization got a lot of local interest. So
I think people are interested in organics at this point, whether you like it or not. People have opinions now.
Yeah,
that's true.
Say something.
All right, sounds good.
Is the plan just going to be real hyper local level? Sorry to interrupt.
Is the plan just going to be communicated in written form? Because probably, having it synthesized, so that people can understand it quickly would be a good way to.
I know. Would you like to be on that committee that helps synthesize what we need?
Or do you all want to write a letter to sanitation?
I think it would be a good request to make to the people that put the plan together, actually, because creating PowerPoints that, kind of synthesize information is not a huge job. So.
Well, that's a great point. I know that there's an executive summary of the 2006 swamp on the DSNY website, which I found really helpful. It was still pretty lengthy though, an executive summary, but it's certainly something that we can provide as feedback. But yeah, I think digesting it is going to be tough. And as Lacey mentioned, they're going to have one virtual webinar where they share their plan with the community.
AI should make it a lot easier. Oh God.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, AI should make it better. That's good. Yeah.
Let's all use AI.
Yeah. Give it a shot. I think with the document of that type, everyone's going to have their own paid for subscription unless you're using.
Because then, the creation of a, sort of like a PowerPoint and then a distribution list so that it goes out before you have, you understand that that's part of a comprehensive communication strategy that might make people more engaged in it. So.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Preaching to the choir.
I know.
Yeah. All right. Are there any other comments in the chat? Or I think I saw something pop up.
Danielle said, I agree with Pam. The plan should be synthesized and accessible to those who may not understand certain jargon. I mean, that's what we kind of are hoping to do.
Right.
But that's why it's a very 45 days is a pretty short period because of what was it in 2006? It was like 6,000 pages. I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of it's
it's
a lot
very
of it's fluff.
It's very long. And so we do want to try to synthesize it as best we can, but I really wish that.
You can do it.
All right.
You can do
Pull a
it.
couple of all-nighters and pretend we're in law school. I know, Debbie. It's like, AI.
Yeah.
Like all the
No, anyway, it seems ridiculous to me not be able to communicate with sanitation department and say, have the consultant synthesize the plan.
Right.
If our president's offices are asking, and the mayor's office or whatever. Yeah, understand that's.
They've been working on that plan since 2022. So.
Yeah, I know, but all I'm saying is, if it's a public plan, it needs to be able to be understood by the public.
Yes, I know.
And understood.
And that we could even write a letter asking for that, saying,
Yeah, I know. Well, we could write a letter. In fact, we are kind of working on a letter asking them to make it more accessible. So thank you for suggesting that. And we'll just see what comes of that. Like, it's a little nerve-wracking to think about writing the letter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. All right. Good discussion. And I think in the interest of time, we can move on to the next topic. I appreciate everyone's comments and very valid, very thoughtful. I appreciate them. And they make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to an update from BP Reynosa's office.
I've talked enough today.
Yes.
I cede my time.
You cede the time. Thank you so much. All right. Next, we go to coalition updates, and Sherry was not able to make it. I have an update from her. I don't know if there's anyone from Save Our Compost. I heard that Lonnie might be coming, but I don't know if Lonnie's here. No? All right. So I'm going to read what Sherry sent regarding the update on Save Our Compost. She said that the Save Our Compost group has been meeting on a regular basis, mainly updates from organizations involved regarding upcoming events. And there's outreach going on to request a meeting with the city council. There's also continued work to develop the MOU amongst the network and create more structure for the group. So that's the quick update on Save Our Compost. And I don't know if there's anyone else who wants to make any additions to that. Okay. Nope. Okay. Let's move to Reusable NYC.
So I wasn't able to attend the meeting this month, but I did read the minutes, and it sounds like they're still talking about the Intro 900, the parks, the bill to add some drinking stations in the parks. So if anyone has any tabling events, feel free to reach out to me, and I can put you in contact because they have a lot of they're doing a postcard campaign, so they're really interested in getting those distributed at any tabling events. They're also thinking about like regrouping to think about what else to work on. So if you have any like pet bills that you're really interested in, you can also reach out to me, and I can put you in contact, or I can share that that's something we're interested in. That's pretty much it.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, and with that, we'd like to jump over to committee reports. I think first up on the executive committee, wanted to check to see if everyone's had an opportunity to read through the draft July general meeting minutes. And if so, if we could take a, if someone wants to make a motion to vote on the minutes.
Does anyone move to approve?
Yep.
I move to approve.
Rhonda is making, and Pablo seconds, and Jason as well, so that's good, we're all set. For those that want to vote yes to approve the minutes, please raise your hands. And we have 4 at Borough Hall.
Great. That's 11, I believe.
Okay. Anybody voting no, not to approve the minutes? No. Anybody abstaining from voting on the minutes? Mark and Lee, are you abstaining from voting on the minutes?
Yes, I'm abstaining.
Okay, great. Lee wrote them. Lee, you wrote them and you did such a lovely job. Why are you abstaining? You feel like you're biased? All right. Okay, very good. So thanks, Beth. If you could, let us know on the votes if we need to do that again, or if we all set. Passed. Okay, very good. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the executive committee is going to be creating a special bylaws committee. It will be temporary. It will last 3 to 4 months. We're going to be updating the bylaws on the suggestion of Borough Hall, in that it is really almost a decade since they've been adopted. The previous ones were 2016. And I think that there is some differences amongst the application to join the SWAB, what is within local law 19, and perhaps what is in the existing bylaws on conflict of interest. So that is something that we want to synthesize, and we will be definitely focusing on that, as well as modernizing the bylaws, as it talks about mailing things out in paper form. And I think that that really does not reflect the modern world as we are in it right now. So, so if anybody is interested in taking part in that, you can please email me at swab.brooklyn@gmail.com, and be happy to have you on. And once the team gets together, we can pick a good time to meet and move forward. Next up, legislative committee. If you could provide a report out.
Yeah, so the last meeting.
Oh,
you're muted.
Sorry, I fat fingered the mute button. The last meeting we had, we talked about the testimony to the New York, I forgot what it stands for, NIMTIC Transportation Committee. I forgot what the M stands for, but so both Danielle did deliver that testimony, and I think there was also a second opportunity to deliver that testimony. If you all remember, you voted on that testimony earlier last month, and that was really in kind of against the addition of support for incinerators in the bill, or recommendation to expand incineration. So then we also talked about a letter to the DEC for regarding the permit to extend the life of Seneca Meadows, the landfill in Seneca Falls, New York. So that letter we've finalized, and we will send it out for vote. We didn't prioritize or rush it for this meeting because DEC hasn't actually released a review of the permit. They're still in the process of reviewing the permit request. So there's no public hearing moment at the moment. So we just decided to get it off our plate because we don't actually know when they will really open it up for public testimony. So it's ready, and we'll probably talk about it, send it out before next month's meeting. I think that's it. Our next meeting will be at the last Thursday of the month, as per usual, 6 p.m. You can find it on the Brooklyn SWAB calendar, or you can send me your email, and I'll add you to the legislative committee email list. I'll put my email in the chat. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, the organics. No, I'm sorry, the outreach and events committee, please.
Can I share screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Do you have to make him a co-host?
I think so. Well, why don't you just share it now? I'll just take it.
Okay, cool. Come on. All right. I'm very visual, so I need to write this out. We are working on our set of priorities for the fall and months ahead. So I wanted to outline what those look like for folks who might be interested in getting more involved. So the first is we're going to really focus on supporting legislative policy issues as they come up. Mary Ellen just mentioned the potential roundtable that we're planning for the end of October with the community boards in the context of getting feedback on the SWAB. So we're working on finalizing the date for that, and then we'll begin planning and facilitation. And then right above that, we've also put together a draft letter for the statement of needs process, which we're hoping to get out later this month. We'll have a draft ready to share around for anyone who might have additional feedback or thoughts on that as well. But big thanks to Betty for insights from last year's process and helping get that ready for this year as well. The second area that we're focused on is public awareness, really in the context of these new data tools that we've created together with the Manhattan SWAB. So if I shared my screen correctly, I can. Nope, I need to reshare.
Oh.
Yeah, great. So we have a new site that's live for all of the data tools that we've started to create, and we're working on adding new ones here. This includes the organic waste tracker that we've shared previously in this meeting, and I'll bring that up in a second as well. Something that Ezra has been working on for the where our trash goes or waste export dashboard. And then we've got some information on both SWABs and an opportunity for people to add their email if they want monthly updates going forward on the data. So monthly updates wise, today was actually the day that open data for the month of August went live on the site. So we can see here for Brooklyn, the total number of organics tons that were collected in August. Slight dip, we think, due to some seasonal summertime lulls, which we're working to confirm. But we're hovering around 6% right now for capture rate. So hoping to see that go back up in September and continue with some new educational efforts as they continue. So this is priority number 2. Continuing to develop these out and start sharing them more so that we can track what is going on. And then the third area is refreshing, revitalizing partnerships with community organizations, representatives within DOE, NYCHA, janitorial staff union, in order to help with some of that awareness around both recycling and compost. So if anyone is interested in any of that, I invite you to participate in our meeting next Monday at 5:30. We're doing a little bit of a refresh, so we'll also get a poll from everyone. If you're interested in getting involved and you can't make that date, let me know. Otherwise, we can certainly look to set up a new schedule going forward to optimize participation from anyone who's interested. And then I'll also just call out that the events committee is now part of the outreach committee. So Elizabeth is kind of continuing to manage that under this larger umbrella that we have going. So very excited to be working together on outreach and events.
Jason, I have a question. The website is really exciting. I'm so psyched about it. My question is about the email address collection that you have there. When people sign up there, are they just getting updates on the data? Like where is that collection of email addresses going? And I'll say my ulterior motive for this question is that, people sign up for the SWAB email list via our website, and then we add them to our mailing list. And I don't know, it'd be nice to, like, if there's other folks to gather them for our lists. I know it's like a joint list with Manhattan SWAB, so I'm curious where that's going and what they're getting.
Yeah, the intent was folks might visit this website and not be aware of the SWABs, so to have that broad reach. But we could likely add a question to the extent of like, do you give permission to be added to the SWAB email distro as well in order to include them in? But the intent was just to send a monthly, when that data becomes live, like it was today. Like here are 5 things that we noticed very quick. Like here's a change that we've seen month over month, potential reasons why. Nothing very fancy to start, but really just fact based on the data that was provided.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be really curious to see who you capture there, and yeah, if we're able to. I mean, I know there's like an all SWAB, mailing list sign up where people can check like whether they want, which SWAB they want to hear from. So, if it's like check to sign up for the Manhattan or check to sign up for the Brooklyn, if there's that, if we could funnel that data to the right places, then I'd be excited. So, but this is amazing. I love it. Thanks.
I'll keep a lookout on what kinds of emails we're getting from it, and we can certainly.
Cool. Cool. Thanks.
Sounds good. More to come on that one. Yep.
I mean, the other strategy might be to think about media people, a couple of media people that you maybe just have a little meeting with, talking about some of the things you're producing, actually, because some of that is very absorbable and potentially some people might pick it up. So.
Absolutely. We're working closely with Matt and the team with Manhattan as well to plan some of that. The initial plan is to use this for some of the swamp testimony and hearings, kind of as a pilot, as a trial, and then we'll start distributing it more widely.
Yeah, and to your point, Pam, super easy to understand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Thank you so much. Any other questions? All right. Next up, NYCHA. Suzanne, please.
Oh, hi. We met last Thursday, and the next meeting is October 9th at 5:30 on Google Meet. Okay. And the NYCHA committee has been active, having a number of events at the NYCHA campuses, Wagner and Grant, and they got a grant to do mending circles, and several mending circles have been led by Fashion Professional. So that was interesting, and also waste dives where they promote recycling at NYCHA, and they're also working on kind of partnering with a kind of a big food pantry called Gotham Food Pantry, which brings fresh produce to various campuses of NYCHA, but they have a certain percentage, sometimes higher or lower, of food that's already spoiled. So they want to try and figure out a way to incorporate that into the sanitation's curbside composting. So that's what we're working on now.
All right, terrific. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you.
All right. That is it for committee reports. Next, we've got announcements and open floor discussions. As usual, we're letting everyone know about the Master Compost certificate course information. There's a link within the agenda, and if you are at all on the sites from Big Reuse, Lower East Side Ecology, or Earth Matter, they're regularly sending out information about how to get involved in the Master Composter certificate course information. So please make use of that. Also, Climate Week is coming up on September 1st. Got a link to a website that goes through all the possible activities. And I also sent information out to all the Brooklyn SWAB members and guests and possible general public that Samantha McBride is doing a reuse event at Earth Matter at some point during the week of September 21st. I think it's on the 24th. So that sounds interesting. I think there are other events coming up. So keep your eyes open. Just interesting point, within Climate Week, there was not a category focused on waste. So maybe that's something that we can work on for future Climate Week. So there are waste focused talks going on. On September 18th, Gaia is offering carbon map mapper training. And Gaia is an organization that spoke with us, Jessica Roth. So if you're interested in figuring out how they are mapping carbon emissions, you can take a look. It sounds interesting. And I'm not sure if anybody else has any other announcements or discussions that they'd like to initiate from the floor.
I thought of something that I wanted to just raise. Actually, Jason reminded me when he was talking about the statement of needs. So we actually get something called the citywide statement of needs, where the city is like looking at siting, facility siting in the borough, and sometimes they ask for like our feedback. So something just to flag, and I think it's quite long term, because when I talked to sanitation, they didn't really have any imminent plans for it, but the site in Greenpoint where they do the special waste drop off now is going to need to move. I forget if it's because of a private development or something to do with the Newtown Creek CSO mitigation project, but either way, they will be looking for a new home. I think it's particularly interesting because if the city was complying with the Core Act, we would have lots of special waste drop-off sites across the borough. But right now we only have one. And so if anybody has any ideas about where it should move to, sanitation asked us for our input. And so would love your input if you have any on that. Again, I think it's kind of a long-term thing, but we want to make sure that that opportunity doesn't go away in Brooklyn.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lacey, what do you think's happening with that site?
I forget if it's a private development or if it's there's this, speaking of the Newtown Creek wastewater treatment plant, there is a DEP project going on where they're building a storage tank for combined sewer overflow. And it might have something to do with that. I don't remember.
I thought you were saying it was where the DOT concrete crushing operation was going to move to, but
not to my knowledge, no. I think
I would bet it's not private development. I would bet it's not private development, so it's got to be a city use. But
the DEP thing is quite interesting, and this is just, I mean, it's waste. It's a different kind of waste related. Is that basically as part of the Superfund site, DEP is constructing like basically a giant holding tank for wastewater to keep it from flowing into the creek when it rains and contributing to the pollution. It's going to be a very large undertaking, but ultimately will help make our water cleaner.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other announcements? Things that they want to share?
I just put in the chat. I don't know if you brought it up earlier. Sorry if I missed it, but there's a sanitation committee hearing coming up on September 18th, and about 3 bills, and I listed it in the chat.
Okay. Oh, and thank you so much. And I'm sorry, Allison, I didn't give you a chance to provide an update on the organics committee. My apologies.
Oh my goodness. All right, no problem there. Well, Jason, I'm so happy Jason, talked about the dashboard. We spent a lot of time on that, and we're just, thrilled to have it, and we really want to dig into it. He mentioned, the dip in August. Maybe it's the summer lull, and we're going to look to see if, DSNY collection of garbage and recyclables also dips in August. So we kind of have to start looking at, the broader trends of how organics fits in with everything else. We always talk about what's happening in people's buildings and, asking people if they need any help. Obviously, you guys probably tap into Shari a lot. One person is looking for help. She has a building where, 200 units, one bin, and no one's using the bin. So she's trying to rally her residents to get more. So we're looking to give her some tools, whether it be a petition, a flyer to post in the building. I'll probably reach out to Shari. We have some stuff, but people are creating stuff all over the place, and there's like no one central place. You have to find all these flyers, and we don't want to recreate the wheel if we don't have to. And then of course we're starting to talk about pumpkins. Some of you know me from the past. I tend to focus on the fact that there's, such tons of pumpkins. Now, at least, this is the first year we have mandatory curbside citywide. But still, a lot of pumpkins are probably going to end up in the trash. and we want, to encourage more pumpkin messaging. We'll probably create some content. I know Kendall mentioned he's going to the pumpkin festival in Illinois and Peoria. So I have to reach back out to Kendall because I think that's going to be have so many resources. Like if we can build some content just surrounding pumpkins, I think we should do it. And it's kind of like an entryway to a lot of people that don't compost. They're they're just not going to do it, adamantly saying it's disgusting, I'm not going to do it, but might consider composting their pumpkin because it's not disgusting. So yeah, would look forward to any ideas on what we should do to pump out some pumpkin messaging.
All right, great. Thanks so much. All right. Any other final comments or things to add?
Claire Mifflin came out with a good study, I think, from Denmark. She's been doing the tour of the cities.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good.
Is it pro incineration?
No, they have no resources. They use everything.
Yeah, they burn
Is it
everything.
more about like underground trash bins?
Denmark burns everything.
Okay. All right, great.
Take waste
Yeah,
from
a
all
good
over
idea
Europe and
from
burn it.
Debbie, schools for pumpkin messaging, and Morton, Illinois. Oh wow, a Libby plant that cans is that for pumpkin pie? All right, pumpkin people. Lots more to be hearing about. What?
Hey, you all learned something tonight, right? Where's my canned pumpkin come from?
It comes from Morton, Illinois. All right, excellent. All right, good stuff. All right, I think with that, I would like to close out the meeting. Thank you so much, everyone, for a lively debate and great readouts from our committee heads. Thank you so much, and have a great night. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.